The Orbital Recycling Research Station hung like a metallic spider web against the inky backdrop of space, its intricate network of interconnected modules a testament to human resourcefulness. Asteroid XR392 drifted below, a depleted rock stripped of its mineral wealth, now nothing more than a gravitational anchor for humanity's most unconventional research team. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the primary observation deck, her fingers tracing holographic schematics that danced with possibility. At 42, she carried the weight of a dozen rejected research proposals and the scars of academic ridicule. Her current team was an eclectic collection of brilliant misfits, scientists and engineers who had been written off by mainstream research institutions. To her left, Dr. Kai Chen manipulated a molecular restructuring chamber, his hands moving with the precision of a surgeon and the passion of an artist. A brilliant materials engineer who had been dismissed from 3 top-tier research facilities, Shen found his true calling in this orbital laboratory of last chances. Behind him, stacks of what most would consider garbage formed intricate towers, each piece a potential breakthrough waiting to be understood. "Thermal stress test complete," announced Maya Okoi, the team's lead computational analyst. Her holographic display flickered with complex data streams, each line representing countless iterations of material transformation. Composite sample A237 shows unprecedented stability under extreme temperature variations. Elena nodded, her eyes never leaving the holographic schematic. The project was deceptively simple yet monumentally complex. Develop a material adaptation system that could transform industrial and space waste into functional, high-performance components. Where other researchers saw limitations, they saw an infinite canvas of potential. The station itself was a living testament to their philosophy. What appeared to be a chaotic assemblage of recycled modules was actually a carefully engineered ecosystem of technological innovation. Solar panels crafted from retired communication array segments, structural supports created from mining drill casings. Every inch spoke of transformation and possibility. "We're close," Elena muttered, more to herself than to her team. The current prototype could restructure materials at the molecular level, but only under specific conditions. They needed something more, a breakthrough that would prove their radical approach to resource management. Kai approached with a small container, inside which a metallic substance shifted and rippled like liquid mercury. "Look at this," he said, his voice a mixture of excitement and scientific restraint. "The nano-adaptive matrix is showing signs of autonomous reorganization. It's not just reshaping, it's learning." The implications were staggering. Traditional material science worked with static components. Their system proposed something revolutionary: materials that could dynamically adapt to environmental challenges, that could literally think and respond at the molecular level. Outside the station's reinforced windows, the depleted asteroid served as a constant reminder of humanity's challenge. Decades of aggressive mining had stripped XR392 of its resources, leaving behind a scared landscape that most would abandon. But this team saw opportunity where others saw desolation. Maya's console suddenly erupted with warning signals. "Unexpected energy signature detected," she called out. "Something's approaching the station." Elena moved closer to the display, her scientific curiosity overriding any sense of potential threat. The signature was unlike anything in their standard database: complex, dynamic, with patterns that seemed to shift and adapt even as they watched. "Prepare scanning protocols," she instructed. "Whatever this is, it's not following standard approach vectors." The team moved with synchronized efficiency. Kai adjusted the molecular restructuring chamber, ready to analyze any incoming data. Maya's fingers danced across multiple holographic interfaces, triangulating the mysterious energy signature. And Elena watched, her mind already racing with possibilities. They were researchers on the edge of human knowledge, working in a place most would consider the universe's junkyard. But they understood a fundamental truth that escaped most scientific institutions: nothing is truly waste. Everything contains potential energy, waiting to be understood, waiting to be transformed. As the unknown signature drew closer to the station, Elena Rodriguez allowed herself a small smile. This was why they were here. To challenge everything humanity thought it knew about resources, about technology, about the very nature of adaptation. The next few moments would change everything. The energy signature resolved itself with impossible precision. One moment, the space around Orbital Recycling Research Station XR-392 was empty. The next, a vessel materialized. Its design so alien that it defied human comprehension of spacecraft engineering. Dr. Elena Rodriguez felt the station's sensors come alive, a symphony of data streams flooding their primary display. The craft was neither large nor small, existing in a quantum state of dimensional ambiguity that made traditional measurement impossible. Its surface shifted and rippled, breaking every known rule of spaceship construction. Incoming transmission, Maya Okoye announced, her voice steady despite the unprecedented moment. Communication protocol is unusual. It's not using any standard frequency we recognize. Dr. Kai Chen leaned closer to the holographic display, his breath catching. It's not just a transmission. It's a complete informational matrix. The data is restructuring itself as we receive it. The first message appeared, not as text, but as a complex three-dimensional projection that filled the station's central analysis chamber. Admiral Dzarn of the Krell hegemony presented himself as a being of pure geometric precision. His form was angular, almost mathematical, with skin that seemed more like intricate circuitry than biological tissue. Unidentified human installation. The projection began, its voice a calculated series of tones that somehow translated into perfect human language. You occupy a zone of significant ecological contamination. Your resource management is primitive and environmentally destructive. Elena exchanged a look with her team. The condescension was palpable, yet there was something fascinating about the aliens' approach. They weren't just communicating, they were performing a comprehensive environmental and technological assessment. Maya's fingers flew across her interface. They've mapped our entire station in milliseconds. Every module, every recycled component is being analyzed and categorized. The Krell projection continued, its tone a mixture of scientific detachment and cultural superiority. Your method of resource utilization suggests a civilization at a pre-advanced developmental stage. The quantity of material waste surrounding your installation indicates significant technological inefficiency. Kai couldn't help but chuckle. They think our entire approach to technology is garbage. But Elena was listening carefully. The transmission was more than a simple communication. It was a comprehensive scan, a technological probing that revealed as much about the Krell as it did about the human research station. Prepare a response, she instructed Maya, but not a defensive one. We're scientists, not military personnel. The team worked with practiced efficiency. Where the Krell saw chaos, they would demonstrate sophistication. Maya constructed a response that was part scientific data, part philosophical statement. Each piece of waste around their station would be presented not as garbage, but as potential energy waiting to be transformed. The response was a masterpiece of informational design. Holographic representations showed how each seemingly useless component of their station could be rapidly adapted. A discarded communication array became a precision sensor. An old mining laser transformed into an energy collection system. Every piece told a story of potential and adaptation. Admiral Dzarn's projection remained, processing the information with what almost seemed like confusion. The Krell hegemony operated on principles of perfect, purpose-built systems. Their entire civilization was constructed around the idea of zero waste. But that meant rigid, unchanging technologies. The humans were presenting something entirely different. A dynamic system of continuous transformation. Your technological approach suggests an evolutionary capacity we find challenging to categorize. The Krell transmission finally responded. There was something new in the tone, not quite respect, but a grudging acknowledgement of something unexpected. Elena smiled. First contact was rarely about military might or technological superiority. It was about communication, about showing different ways of understanding the universe. "They came to dismiss us," Kai whispered, "but they're leaving with more questions than answers." The alien vessel began to shift, its impossible geometry suggesting preparation for departure. But something had changed. The initial contemptuous scan had transformed into something more, a genuine scientific curiosity. As the Krull ship prepared to leave, Alina knew their little research station had just changed the game. They hadn't just survived an alien encounter. They had challenged an entire civilization's understanding of technological potential. The universe, she realized, was about to get very interesting. The Krull transmission lingered in the station's system like a persistent echo, driving the research team into a state of heightened creativity. What had begun as a focused research project now transformed into something more, a mission to prove the potential of adaptive technology. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood before a massive holographic display, her fingers tracing complex molecular diagrams that shifted and realigned with each touch. The alien encounter had exposed a critical weakness in their current approach: speed of adaptation. Their nano-adaptive matrix needed to evolve from a promising prototype to a revolutionary system. "We're missing something fundamental," she muttered, drawing the attention of Dr. Kai Chen. Kai approached, a half-dismantled quantum processor in his hands. The Krull scanning technology was unlike anything we've seen. It wasn't just observing. It was simultaneously analyzing and categorizing at the molecular level. Maya Okoi's workstation hummed with intense computational activity. Lines of code danced across multiple holographic interfaces, each representing a different approach to molecular restructuring. "Our current system has a critical limitation," she explained. "We can transform materials, but the process takes time." The Krull demonstrated near-instantaneous adaptation. The station's workshop had become a crucible of innovation. What once looked like a collection of discarded machinery now resembled a living, breathing technological laboratory. Retired communication arrays were stripped down and rebuilt. Old mining equipment was dismantled, its components analyzed and reimagined. Alina pointed to a series of molecular models. "We need a system that doesn't just transform materials. It needs to anticipate potential configurations before the transformation begins." Kay's eyes lit up. Predictive molecular adaptation. Instead of reacting to external conditions, we create a matrix that can predict and prepare multiple potential configurations simultaneously. The concept was radical. Traditional material science worked linearly: observe, analyze, transform. Their proposed system would work dimensionally, creating a quantum state matrix that existed in multiple potential configurations at once. Days blurred into nights. The team worked with a frenetic energy that bordered on obsession. They knew they were close to something extraordinary. Each failed experiment brought them closer to a breakthrough. A breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Maya discovered an anomaly in their quantum processing algorithms, a pattern that suggested materials could be understood not as static objects, but as dynamic information systems. "Look at this," she called out, projecting a complex holographic representation. "When we treat material composition as an information problem rather than a physical one, the possibilities become exponential." The new system they developed was nothing short of revolutionary. Instead of trying to transform materials through brute force, they created an adaptive matrix that could read and predict material behavior at the quantum level. A piece of discarded equipment was no longer just a collection of components. It became a library of potential configurations. Kai demonstrated the new system with a piece of old communication array hardware. As the team watched, the component began to shift and change. It wasn't just being reshaped. It was actively analyzing its own potential uses, predicting the most efficient configuration based on surrounding environmental data. "It's learning," Elena whispered. "The material is actually learning and adapting." The implications were staggering. Traditional recycling involved breaking down materials and rebuilding them. Their system proposed something entirely different: a living, thinking material that could instantaneously become whatever was most needed. Funding requests that had been rejected for years would now look like relics of an outdated technological understanding. This wasn't just a research project anymore. It was a fundamental reimagining of how humanity could interact with technology and resources. As the final test concluded, the team stood in silent appreciation. The Krell's dismissive transmission had done more than challenge them. It had unleashed a wave of innovation that would change everything. "We're ready," Alina said, her voice filled with quiet determination. "Whatever comes next, we're ready." The station's lights seemed to pulse with new potential. Outside, the depleted asteroid that had once symbolized resource exhaustion now represented something else entirely. A canvas of infinite possibility, waiting to be transformed. The first warning came as a quantum resonance spike that rippled through the station's adaptive matrix. Dr. Elena Rodriguez felt the change before the visual displays confirmed it. Something was approaching, and it carried the unmistakable signature of the Krell hegemony. "Incoming vessels," Maya Okoye announced, her voice steady despite the tension. "Multiple contact points. They're not attempting communication this time." The holographic displays transformed, revealing a flotilla of Krell ships that defied traditional spacecraft design. Each vessel was a geometric marvel, crystalline structures that seemed to phase in and out of dimensional space, weapons systems integrated so seamlessly they were indistinguishable from the ship's primary structures. Dr. Kai Chen's fingers flew across the adaptive control interfaces. "They're not here to observe," he said. "This is a direct response to our previous transmission. They view our technological approach as a threat." Elena understood immediately. The Krell's previous dismissal had transformed into something more dangerous, a perceived challenge to their technological supremacy. Where once they saw a primitive research station, they now recognized a fundamental threat to their understanding of technological development. The station's external sensors began to track the incoming vessels. But this was no ordinary defensive preparation. Every module, every discarded piece of equipment became part of an evolving defensive strategy. "Activate adaptive matrix," Elena commanded. What happened next defied every known principle of space combat. Old mining lasers that had been repurposed into research tools began to reconfigure. Communication arrays twisted and merged, creating complex sensor networks that could predict and counter incoming weapon signatures. The entire station was no longer a static structure. It had become a living, thinking defensive organism. The first Krell energy weapon discharge, a precise beam of destructive potential that would have obliterated most human installations. But instead of impact, the beam was met by a section of the station that instantaneously restructured its molecular composition. The energy was not just absorbed but analyzed, categorized, and then transformed into additional defensive capabilities. "Incredible," Maya breathed. "The adaptive matrix is treating their weapons as additional information input." Kai monitored the transformation in real time. "We're not just defending. We're learning from their attack vectors. Each weapon signature is being converted into potential defensive and offensive configurations." The Krell flotilla discovered something terrifying. Their most advanced weapon systems were being consumed by the human station. Where a precision energy beam would normally destroy, it was instead becoming part of the station's evolving defensive network. Sections of the station that had once been considered obsolete equipment began to move. Old structural supports became dynamic shield generators. Discarded cooling systems transformed into precision targeting mechanisms. The entire installation was a living, thinking system that could instantaneously adapt to any incoming threat. Admiral Zuzarn's transmission cut through the chaos. "Unacceptable technological deviation detected. Your installation represents a fundamental threat to established technological principles." Elena's response was calm, almost scientific in its precision. "We are not a threat. We are simply demonstrating a different approach to technological development." The battle was unlike any space conflict in human history. The Krell approached with the confidence of a civilization that believed in perfect, predetermined technological systems. They found themselves confronting something entirely different, a technological approach that saw every incoming attack as an opportunity for growth and adaptation. Weapon signatures became information. Destructive energy was transformed into defensive potential. The human research station was no longer just defending. It was actively learning and evolving with each passing moment. "They don't understand," Kai said, watching the incredible transformation. "For the Krell, technology is a fixed state. For us, it's a continuous process of adaptation and discovery." As the conflict continued, it became clear that this was more than a military engagement. This was a fundamental clash of technological philosophies. The Krell represented a universe of predetermined perfection. The humans demonstrated a system of continuous dynamic evolution. The station pulsed with an energy that seemed almost alive. Every moment of the conflict expanded their understanding of what technology could be. Elena watched the unfolding scenario with a mixture of scientific excitement and strategic calculation. They were writing a new chapter in humanity's technological understanding, one molecular transformation at a time. The conflict entered its most critical phase as the Krell flotilla realized they were no longer facing a simple defensive installation. The human research station had transformed into something entirely unprecedented, a living technological organism that consumed and repurposed their most advanced weapon systems. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the central command interface, her hands moving with surgical precision across holographic controls that seemed to breathe and pulse with adaptive energy. Each moment of the battle revealed new layers of their technological breakthrough. Energy conversion at 78% efficiency, Maya Okoye reported, her voice a blend of scientific excitement and strategic focus. "We're not just deflecting attacks. We're converting them into usable computational and defensive resources." Dr. Kai Chen monitored the molecular restructuring chambers, watching in awe as incoming Krell weapon signatures were broken down and transformed. An energy beam that would have obliterated a conventional installation became a new sensor array. A precision targeting system was dismantled and reconstructed into a complex communication network. The station's exterior was no longer a fixed structure. Modules shifted and merged, creating dynamic defensive configurations that defied conventional understanding of spacecraft design. Old mining equipment became shield generators. Retired communication arrays transformed into precision targeting systems. "They're changing tactics," Kai observed, pointing to the holographic representation of the Krell fleet. "They're trying to overwhelm us with diversionary attacks." Elena nodded. The Krell's initial confidence had transformed into a desperate attempt to understand and neutralize the human installation. Their perfectly designed weapon systems were being turned against them, each attack providing more data for the adaptive matrix. A particularly intense energy burst from the Krell flagship approached. Instead of traditional deflection, the station's outer modules began to resonate at a molecular level. The incoming weapon was not just absorbed, it was analyzed, its energy signature mapped and integrated into the station's defensive capabilities. "Adaptive matrix is showing exponential learning rates," Maya called out. "Each attack is increasing our computational and defensive potential by nearly 12% per interaction." The battle became a complex dance of technological adaptation. Where traditional spacecraft would have been destroyed, the human installation grew stronger with each incoming attack. Krell weapon signatures became additional computational resources. Their most advanced targeting systems were consumed and reimagined. Admiral Zizarn's transmissions became increasingly frantic. The perfectly geometric Krell ships found themselves confronting a technological approach that violated every principle of their understanding. Their weapons were being turned into additional defensive capabilities faster than they could recalibrate their attack strategies. "This is impossible," one of the Krell tactical commanders transmitted. "No technological system can adapt this quickly." Elena allowed herself a small smile. "We're not a system," she muttered. "We're a living, learning organism." The station's adaptive matrix had moved beyond simple defense. It was actively predicting and countering Krell attack vectors before they could be implemented. Weapon systems were being neutralized at the quantum level, their energy potential mapped and redirected before they could cause damage. Kai watched the molecular restructuring chambers with scientific wonder. "We're rewriting the fundamental understanding of technological interaction," he said. "This isn't just defense. This is a completely new approach to technological evolution." The Krell flotilla found itself in an unprecedented situation. Their most advanced weapon systems were being consumed and repurposed faster than they could develop counter-strategies. Each attack provided more computational resources to the human installation. Maya's display showed the exponential growth of the station's adaptive capabilities. What had started as a research project was now demonstrating a level of technological adaptation that challenged everything the Krell understood about technological development. "They're retreating," Kai announced, watching the holographic fleet representation. But Alina knew this was about more than military victory. This was a fundamental demonstration of a different approach to technological development. Where the Krell saw technology as a fixed, perfect system, the humans presented it as a living, continuously evolving organism. As the last Krell ships began to withdraw, the research station pulsed with an energy that seemed almost alive. They had done more than survive an attack. They had demonstrated a revolutionary approach to technological innovation. The universe would never be the same. The communication channel crackled to life with an unexpected clarity. Admiral Zigzarn's geometric form materialized in the station's primary analysis chamber, no longer presenting the pristine, condescending projection from their first encounter. Something fundamental had changed. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood prepared, her team flanking her with a mixture of scientific curiosity and strategic caution. The aftermath of the battle had transformed this from a military engagement to something far more profound, a dialogue between fundamentally different technological philosophies. "Explain," the Krell Admiral demanded, the translation matrix rendering his words with a complex undertone of confusion and reluctant respect. Elena stepped forward, her hands gesturing to the holographic displays that surrounded them. Each display showed the journey of a piece of seemingly worthless equipment, from discarded component to sophisticated technological solution. "What you see as waste," she began, "we see as potential." Dr. Kai Chen activated a series of molecular transformation sequences. Retired communication arrays dissolved and reformed. Mining equipment restructured itself into precision sensor systems. Each demonstration was a visual argument about the nature of technological potential. The Krell projection studied the displays with an intensity that suggested more than simple observation. Their civilization had built itself on principles of perfect, predetermined technological design. The humans were presenting something entirely different, a philosophy of continuous adaptation and transformation. "Your technological approach violates fundamental principles of systems design," Admiral Zigzarn stated. But there was a new quality to his statement, no longer dismissive, but genuinely attempting to understand. Maya Okoi stepped forward, her computational analysis displayed in intricate holographic patterns. "We don't see technology as a fixed state," she explained. "We see it as a living, learning system. Every piece of equipment, every component has multiple potential configurations waiting to be discovered." The station itself seemed to pulse with the demonstration. Sections that had been dormant began to shift and reconfigure, showing how a piece of equipment could instantaneously become something entirely different. A retired cooling system became a complex communication array. An old mining laser transformed into a precision sensor network. Elena understood they were doing more than explaining their technology. They were presenting an entirely different way of understanding technological development. "For your civilization," she said, addressing the Krell Admiral directly, "technology is about achieving a perfect, predetermined state. For us, technology is a continuous process of discovery and adaptation. What you see as inefficiency, we see as potential." The Krell projection remained silent, processing the information. The geometric patterns of his form began to shift subtly, a sign of deep cognitive recalibration. Kai demonstrated the core of their adaptive matrix, A collection of what appeared to be random components began to move, self-organizing into increasingly complex configurations. Every piece of equipment has multiple potential states, he explained. We don't force a single purpose. We create systems that can become whatever is most needed. The philosophical implications were profound. The Krell approached technology as a fixed mathematical problem. Solve for the perfect solution and maintain it. The humans presented technology as a living, breathing ecosystem of continuous adaptation. Inefficiency is not a weakness, Maya added. It's an opportunity for innovation. Admiral Zigzarn's projection began to fragment and reconstruct, mirroring the adaptive demonstrations. The Krell were experiencing something unprecedented, a fundamental challenge to their understanding of technological development. Elena recognized the moment of transformation. This was no longer about military superiority or technological dominance. This was a fundamental exchange of technological philosophies. We are not trying to defeat your technology, she said carefully. We are inviting you to see technology as a journey of continuous discovery. The station's adaptive matrix continued its demonstration, a living testament to the power of seeing potential where others saw only limitations. Each moment challenged the Krell's understanding of technological design. As the communication continued, it became clear that something extraordinary was happening. The Krell were not just observing, they were learning. The universe watched, waiting to see what would emerge from this unprecedented technological dialogue. The news spread through interstellar communication networks faster than light itself. What had begun as a simple research station's encounter with the Krell hegemony transformed into a watershed moment for technological understanding across multiple civilizations. Transmission arrays across dozens of star systems captured fragments of the unprecedented conflict. Visual records showed something that defied conventional understanding of technological development, a human installation that could literally consume and repurpose advanced weapon systems in real time. Dr. Elena Rodriguez found herself at the center of a galactic conversation she had never anticipated. Scientific delegations from multiple alien civilizations requested communication access, each eager to understand the breakthrough that had humbled the technologically superior Krell hegemony. We're receiving over 247 distinct communication requests, Maya Okoye reported, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces that filtered and prioritized incoming transmissions. Academic institutions, research consortiums, and diplomatic channels from 17 different star systems. Dr. Kai Chen studied the incoming data streams with scientific fascination. They're not just requesting information, he observed. They're attempting to understand the fundamental principles behind our adaptive matrix. The research station had become more than a technological marvel. It was a living demonstration of a radically different approach to technological development. Where most civilizations saw technology as a fixed, predetermined system, the humans had presented it as a dynamic, living ecosystem of continuous adaptation. Holographic projections filled the station's primary analysis chamber. Representatives from the Zorian Collective, the Nexus Confederation, and multiple other spacefaring civilizations appeared, each eager to understand the breakthrough. Your technological approach challenges fundamental principles of system design, representatives from the Quantum Concordance transmitted. Their crystalline communication matrices displayed a mixture of scientific excitement and philosophical uncertainty. Elena understood the profound nature of their discovery. This was more than a technological advancement. It was a fundamental reimagining of how intelligent systems could interact with resources and challenges. Maya filtered the most significant transmissions, creating a comprehensive analysis of the galactic response. The Krell's reputation for technological supremacy has been completely dismantled, she reported. Other civilizations are reassessing their entire approach to technological development. Kai demonstrated the adaptive matrix for the incoming delegations. Discarded equipment transformed before their eyes, a retired communication array becoming a precision sensor network, an old mining laser restructuring into a complex computational system. Each demonstration was a visual argument about the nature of technological potential. The station itself had become a living museum of technological possibility. Every module told a story of transformation, of seeing potential where others saw only limitations. Diplomatic channels began to shift. What had started as a military encounter was transforming into a profound technological and philosophical exchange. The humans were no longer seen as a minor research team, but as pioneers of a revolutionary approach to technological understanding. "We are not presenting a weapon," Alina carefully explained to the multiple delegations. "We are presenting a philosophy of continuous adaptation. Technology is not a fixed state. It is a living, learning system." The Nexus Confederation's lead researcher transmitted a response that captured the profound impact of their breakthrough. "You have demonstrated that technological potential is not about perfection. It is about the capacity to learn, to transform, to see opportunity in what others discard." Research grants began to flow. Academic institutions across multiple star systems requested access to the team's research. The small orbital research station around a depleted asteroid had become the most significant technological focal point in known space. Kai looked at Alina, a mixture of scientific excitement and philosophical wonder in his eyes. "We're rewriting the fundamental understanding of technological development," he said. Maya's computational analysis showed the exponential spread of their technological concept. Each transmission, each communication was spreading a new understanding of what technology could be. The Zorian Collective's transmission captured the profound nature of the moment. "Your approach suggests that technological development is not about achieving a perfect state. It is about maintaining the capacity for continuous transformation." As the galactic communications continued, it became clear that something extraordinary was happening. The humans had done more than defeat a technologically superior civilization. They had presented a fundamentally different way of understanding technological potential. The universe watched, waiting to see what would emerge from this unprecedented moment of technological revelation. 5 years after the extraordinary encounter with the Krell hegemony, the Adaptive Systems Institute stood as a testament to human innovation. What had begun as a small research station orbiting a depleted asteroid had transformed into humanity's most significant technological center of excellence. Dr. Alina Rodriguez walked through the Institute's primary research hall, surrounded by young scientists and researchers from multiple star systems. The facility was a living embodiment of their core philosophy, that nothing is truly waste, only unrealized potential waiting to be understood. "The key is not in the technology itself," she told a group of visiting researchers, "but in the approach to understanding technological potential." The Institute had become more than a research facility. It was a beacon of a new technological paradigm that challenged everything spacefaring civilizations thought they knew about resource management and system design. Dr. Kai Chen demonstrated the latest iteration of their adaptive matrix to a delegation of Zorian researchers. Where once they had a prototype, they now had a comprehensive technological ecosystem that could transform entire planetary infrastructure systems. Retired industrial equipment became advanced environmental restoration technologies. Discarded communication arrays transformed into complex planetary monitoring networks. Maya Okoi managed the computational research division, her team developing increasingly sophisticated adaptive algorithms. Their work had revolutionized everything from space exploration to planetary resource management. Civilizations that once approached technology as a fixed system now understood it as a dynamic living process of continuous adaptation. The galactic response had been transformative. The Krell hegemony, once the most technologically rigid civilization, had begun to reimagine their entire approach to technological development. Other spacefaring civilizations followed suit, recognizing that true innovation came from seeing potential where others saw only limitations. "We've changed more than technology," Alina often explained to visiting researchers. "We've changed how intelligent systems understand potential." The Institute's research campuses now existed on multiple planets. Each facility was a living demonstration of their core philosophy: transformation, adaptation, continuous discovery. What other civilizations saw as waste became their most significant resource. Kai's latest project involved planetary restoration technologies. Entire ecosystems could be rebuilt using adaptive matrices that could transform damaged environments. Industrial waste became the primary building block for environmental reconstruction. Maya's computational research had developed adaptive learning systems that could predict and respond to complex environmental challenges. Their algorithms were being used to address climate challenges on multiple colonized worlds. The small research team that had once been dismissed as technological outsiders was now at the forefront of a galactic technological revolution. Their approach had fundamentally transformed how intelligent civilizations understood resource management, technological development, and systemic innovation. During a commemorative lecture, Elena reflected on their journey. "We discovered something profound," she told a packed auditorium of researchers from multiple star systems. "Technology is not about achieving a perfect state. It's about maintaining the capacity for continuous transformation." The Adaptive Systems Institute became more than a research facility. It was a philosophy, a way of understanding the universe that emphasized potential over perfection. Their approach had shown that true innovation came from seeing opportunity in what others discarded. Kai's research teams were developing adaptive technologies that could transform entire planetary infrastructures. Maya's computational systems could predict and respond to complex systemic challenges with unprecedented accuracy. The small team that had once worked on a forgotten orbital station had become the most significant technological innovators in known space. The Krell hegemony, once the most technologically rigid civilization, had completely restructured their approach to technological development. Other spacefaring civilizations followed suit, recognizing that true innovation came from flexibility, adaptation, and seeing potential where others saw only limitations. As Elena looked out over the research facility, she understood that they had done more than develop a revolutionary technology. They had presented a new way of understanding potential, a philosophy that extended far beyond technological development. The universe had changed, and it all began with a small research team that refused to see anything as truly waste. The horizon of human potential had expanded, one molecular transformation at a time.